Welcome, Flyers fans. You're listening to Chris Mayer, Flyers Fan Mania 93 on YouTube.
Make it 12 in a row for this Flyers team. As remember last video when I mentioned that streak, 0-9-2, which is one short of the team record, which was 12, set in 1998-99, and the Flyers tied that now, and they have a chance tomorrow to break it or to add to it and make it the longest streak in history. So this game, this one, I didn't know the score of this game, and then when I watched it live, I feel like I kind of just got punched in the gut, because it seemed like the Flyers were actually going to win this game, and I thought they had a really good effort for majority of this game. It felt like the Flyers had a good start. The second period was kind of a seesaw period. Both teams had their chances. Third period was more Stars heavy, and then they get that goal and then the empty netter, and it kind of feels like if the Flyers, it felt like in this game if the Flyers had more of an NHL roster, they probably could have won this one. They didn't have as many chances as I would have liked. I thought certain guys played well. There was a little bit of a mix-up in the lines as well, and we'll talk about that. But, overall, I felt like this was one of the best Flyers games they played in a while. I mean, it felt like they played with heart. And that's going back to a handful of games here, maybe 4, 5, maybe even 6. I mean, it feels like that was the first time in a while that they were really kind of, trying to win this game. And, not saying that they weren't trying before, but you get my point. It's it was visibly obvious that the Flyers were on it, and they started well. They kind of continued with that, and let's break it down. So the lines in this game are obviously a little bit different. First line stays together. JVR, Drew, and Atkinson. Lindblom with Lawton, and connecting Mayhew with Frost and Willman. So the Flyers today, they call up 3 players: Jackson Cates, Linus Sandin, and Felix Sandstrom. And they call up those guys, and Sandin is at the optional skate, doesn't make his NHL debut tonight, doesn't play. But the Flyers decide to put Sealer in at left wing and also play D. So the Flyers have 7 D in this game. Provy, Braun, Sanheimer, still Yandel, York, and then Sealer as a 7th defenseman. I have absolutely no idea why the Flyers would do that. Not saying that it was like the result of them losing or anything like that, because it didn't really, go any negative sort of way. But like, you've lost 11 in a row, and you want to tell me your smart decision was to put a defenseman, a guy who played winger in college, obviously that doesn't really mean much now, and you want to tell me that's a smart decision when you just called up Connor Bunnaman, who played games this year, and Linus Sandin, who I understand the Phantoms were coming off of back-to-back. It would have been 3-3 and then 4-4 if they used them for these games for the Flyers. But I would probably argue that Linus Sandin would have a good amount of excitement in him to play if it was his NHL debut and he wouldn't be tired or anything like that. So I really don't understand what the thought process of that was. I mean, you just lost 11 in a row. It kind of seems like they're I don't know if it's the coaches maybe trying to it's, to me, it's kind of felt like it was them trying to help them lose. Now, I don't want to sit here and say that or anything like that, but it's just not a smart decision in my opinion for when you just lost 11 in a row and you're going to put a defenseman in wing. We saw that last year when they were down guys and they didn't really have anybody else. This year, you just called up 2 guys. Use them. It just makes no sense to me. So, first period starts. Good opening shift for the Lawton line. Lawton had a chance to win right over a stick in front. Then Ben came back, 2-on-2, nice save by Hart. Both teams kind of traded their chances. The Flyers didn't have as many shots on net as Dallas, but it seemed like, that there were plays there that the Flyers were starting to really kind of get everything going. They just couldn't get the finish or get the puck on net. Frost was kind of handcuffed in front. Willman was tripped. Puck kind of just rolled right through. Lawton line had a lot of jump early. Lindblom ended up finding Provar for the first Flyer shot on net. They had many looks, but as I said, a lot of them went wide. Mayhew had a shot for the first time in a while for the Flyers. They had a handful of minutes there where after the Provar shot, they didn't get many really pucks in it. They didn't really have much zone time either. Frost had a nice hit on Damani. I definitely almost butchered that one. Nice hit in front of the bench there. Sanheim had a tip on a wristo shot from the slide. That was a good save there by Ottinger. And Hintz scores on a breakaway to make it 1-0 Dallas late in the period. And it was a unfortunate play all around because Konecny tried to go back to the point and it got taken away. And Sanheim had basically went calling for it. You hear him go, TK, TK, like trying to go to the net. And they chip it out the other way and Hintz goes down and scores. So 1-0. Dallas there. Frost had a really nice pivot at the end and set up Bristow at the side of the net. Woolman had a chance at the side of that. That was a great shift by the line, one of their best of the game. Flyers were playing with heart in that period. I thought Morgan Frost, this was one of the best games of his career. I mean, it was one of the ones he was very noticeable. He had a nice hit early on in the game. He really established himself and he was played with a hell of a lot of confidence in this game, and that was one thing you could say. So the second period starts. It was kind of like that boring kind of seesaw period. A lot of the plays in this period were in the neutral zone. Flyers had a couple chances. They had a 3-on-2 early with the Giroux line. Atkinson had a chance in close. Sanheim's shot was tipped. Pavelski passed up a good opportunity to shoot. It was a lot of, again, neutral zone clogging in that period. It was kind of going back D to D. Up the middle, they would tip it in, and then the other team would kind of do the same thing. Yandel ends up finding JVR that was close to scoring there. Really nice pass by Yandel. That was a good find, creeping in. And then Provorov would actually score off a play where it was just a lucky bounce, honestly. He just threw it to the net, went off Klingberg's skate, and then looked like he was trying to kick that into his own net there. And the Flyers get the goal. So that's kind of the one thing that was good about that period for them, was the fact that they at least got the goal off that. It felt like they could maybe build some momentum because they had a handful of good shifts there, and I personally thought Provorov had a really good game. I thought his breakouts were good, passing was good. It felt like this is one of the more confident games for Provorov in a while as well, because it's not that Provorov's been bad, but there have been some games where he's looked a little iffy. But also overall, I think he's had a really solid season, and for what he's kind of been having to go through and not playing with Ryan Ellis for majority of the year. Hart had a nice save on Robertson and Tice. That was definitely the Stars' best shift there of the second period. Frost again had a really nice privet. Tried for York, Piss was behind him, and then Frost almost centered it in front of Mayhew, but it ended up deflecting wide, and we kind of scrambled in front there. And then Atkinson almost set one for Giroux late, and it was deflected away. So the Flyers had a couple chances to kind of break the tie. But then in the third, it felt like it was kind of more Dallas heavy in that period. And it felt like the Flyers had a couple turnovers. Kind of took them a little bit longer to get the puck out, move it along the wall. The Stars were starting to collapse on them, kind of figure out the Flyers' game plan of what they wanted to do there. And they had a shift where that kind of continued for most of the period. Frost had a nice chance for the Flyers. He tried that for one for Mayhew. It was deflected, but ended up going on net. Konecny had a wraparound chance. That was pretty much it. I mean, it really wasn't much for the Flyers overall, but Carter Hart definitely kept the Flyers in this one as much as he could. Had the amazing save on Heiskanen, dove over, got enough of it with the glove. Thankfully, somebody was there to kind of steer that one away, because I was really hoping that wasn't just going to drop and roll into the net. Would have been so unfortunate, because a great save by Hart. Stars had some pressure, like I said, and then Lawton had a play where he faked. Pretty easy save for Ottinger off the turnover, and then Peterson would score in front of a pass from Radulov behind the net. And this one, I knew it was in as soon as they shot it, just because the way that the goal light went on. I think the way everybody reacted, and obviously the Stars were celebrating. And also, I didn't hear any really loud post or anything like that. It just kind of seemed like it went right in, and that's always the unfortunate one where it goes in that top part of the net, and there's 3:21 left, and again, it felt like the Flyers had a good effort in this game to try to pick up 2 points, but it's unfortunate because the streak reaches 12, and there's just been so many things that have gone wrong, but this felt like one of the better ones where they kind of deserved to win. And again, I think if they had more of the talent, they probably would have, you know what I mean? And a game like that where it's kind of seesaw through most of the game, it's a 1-1 game late, and obviously anything can happen, but it's unfortunate. So tomorrow, Flyers have the Islanders on the road. We'll see what happens there. Hopefully they'll be able to pick up a win. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. And again, thank you to the sponsors as well. Buttons, you can use code PHI for 10% off anything there. SeatGeek, you can use code FlyersFanMania in all capital letters for $20 off your first order. And Garrett Group Construction for any home improvement needs. If you mention FlyersFanMania 93, get 10% off your order there as well. Seriously, thank you guys all so much for the support. I'll talk to you all again soon, and hopefully the Flyers can break the streak tomorrow against the Islanders.